All right, everybody, Roger Suzanne here live at the First Alert Desk. We want to take you back to that developing situation in New Haven right now on the campus of Yale University, where we know that a massive protest initially began last night. You can see that it continues here as well. Now, at this point, students with the Yale Daily News are reporting that police on the scene told protesters point blank that if they did not leave that scene, they would be taken into custody. And according to an officer on the scene who told students at Yale Daily News that this is true, that around 11 students so far have been taken into custody. That student reporter also reports that about 40 protesters have left that scene since that started, and about 30 remain, which Olivia Schuler has also been telling us as well. At this point, there is obviously a large group of students that are still there at the scene. And again, police have told those students and those protesters that if they do not leave that plaza there, they do face the possibility of being arrested. So again, this is a story that we are tracking right now. And we also have Olivia Schuler, who is live at that scene as well. So we'll have a lot more information coming up right now.
Yeah, thanks, Roger. You know what? We're going to send it right out to Olivia Schuler right now. We understand that she has someone she's going to be speaking with now, as she's been trying to find out more.
Yeah, so Olivia, what have you learned, and who are you going to be talking to now?
Nicole and Caitlin, right now you have a picture of this protest that is happening right now. You can still see that there's a number of police officers in that area in front of the Schwarzman Center. Now, I did recently find out that that is both New Haven police as well as Yale police. And now we're going to talk to Miguel here. He is a student at Yale University, a senior. And can you just walk me through what the past couple of days have been like here on campus?
Yeah, of course. A lot of people have been setting up tents, have been setting up rugs, have been setting up places to sit on what's called what we call Weinecke Plaza. It has an official name that no one uses. But the protests during the day have been mostly people coming around, singing, dancing, concerts, and then professors and other notable speakers coming and just speaking to the students about how to think about what's going on, how to make sense of it, how to feel about it, how to really process everything that's going on. And then at night, a lot more students would come, and it would be a more concentrated event where a lot of students would stand around each other, and we'd sing and we'd chant and we'd show support for divestment, which is really the crux of this entire issue. The core of the protesters' message is that Yale must divest from war manufacturing, an institution that's dedicated to creating community and academic excellence, that has no place funding a war machine that spreads across the entire globe.
Have you heard any communication from Yale since this started?
Yeah, so I've seen emails from both the president and messages from the dean. A lot of the things that I've read and a lot of the communications that I've heard of from administration have come indirectly, so I can't speak necessarily to every single thing and like the validity of everything that I've heard, but I know that, for instance, last night the protesters announced that they were offered the chance to meet with 2 members of the Board of Trustees, the governing body. In return, they expected that the tents and the movement would cease and that there wouldn't be further protests. And that was refused because the protesters saw it as a concession, an unacceptable concession when the demands are simple, very explicit, and there's no reason to at least not disclose the divestments, if not totally divest.
We heard that a sophomore student allegedly said that she was stabbed in the face during one of the protests yesterday. Have you seen anything get out of hand, anything be violent? Do you know anything about this incident that allegedly happened?
I wasn't there at the incident itself, but I know that there have been reports, isolated incidents of people feeling antagonized, people feeling like they're not as welcome at the protest. And I think specifically about the student who is stating that she got stabbed in the eye, I can't say that I think someone did it intentionally. The protest was a lot of people, a lot of moving parts, and if someone has a flag, I can see a flag like kind of getting awry. But particularly with this student, what I saw from her that night was a desire to intimidate people and to get in people's faces and to videotape their faces so then she can post the videos online. Like, she has a very active Twitter. She went on Fox News and denounced the protests. And so I don't think she deserves any harm. I don't think she deserves any intentional ill will on her. I think that she's trying to paint these protests in a negative light when the organizers and the movement is continuously re-emphasizing peaceful protests and continuously re-emphasizing the desire to cooperate and collaborate from a place of love.
Yeah, very well said. What is your reaction to seeing these problems go on across our entire world right now? It's a lot to digest. It's a lot to understand. How are you feeling?
I think personally I've always felt conflicted, specifically because I think a lot of times these movements want us to think of things and to act, and a lot of times people act only when they feel like the answers are clear. And so oftentimes movements will say the questions that we're asking are clear and the demands that we're asking are clear. And while I think that there is a lot more clarity than some people will imply, I think that this is a complicated issue. And in particular, I think that that complicatedness makes me more willing to be here and more willing to stand up, because I understand people's desire for simplicity, for right and wrong, for black and white, but I think it's much more compelling to come here and put my body in the protesters' atmosphere and show that the questions I have and the desire to learn is what keeps me here. Like, the reason that there's teach-ins, the reason that there's talks, the reason that we sing and chant is to give each other the chance to learn. And I think that at the end of the day, the demand is simple. Divest from more manufacturing. There's no reason Yale needed to invest in that in the first place.
Yeah, Miguel, my last question for you is, Yale students, they tend to speak their minds, and when they feel a certain way about something, they speak out. Is this something you've seen in previous years as a student here?
Definitely, definitely. I think that right now with the protests and what's happening in Colombia, and there's also some in the St. Louis University of Washington, there's some at BU, there's some at Harvard. I think what you're seeing here is students being very, very vocal on an issue that's already been in the zeitgeist and already been discussed a lot. But I know from my own university experience that students are thinking about issues that aren't on everyone's radar and are really willing to speak up. My freshman year, there was a massive protest led by some of the same organizers that you see here today to demand that Yale divest from Puerto Rican debt and from fossil fuels. And that protest also saw massive movement, but only on Yale's campus. So it is true that Yale students take these issues to heart, and we really fight to get our voice heard.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you talking with me.
Yeah, thank you, Olivia.
Yeah. All right, Nicole and Caitlin, any questions you may have over in the studio?
Yeah, Olivia, thank you. Certainly interesting to hear a perspective from a senior there at Yale University.
And you know what's really interesting, Kate, before we ask Olivia a question, I think no matter what side, what side you support, what side you're on, I think he did bring up a very important part that we're all learning. And for those on the outside who may not even pick a side, it's all about trying to understand both sides and really learn that, that was spoken. It's very interesting to see that perspective from students and trying to really figure out where they feel, where they're going to stand.
Yeah, and we know that there are a lot of passionate protesters behind you there, Olivia, at the height of all this. Hundreds of students gathering behind you. We know that crowd is slowly dwindling as police moved in this morning. Olivia, do we know yet? We saw some New Haven police officers. I imagine that Yale University police are there as well. Are they working together on this?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It does seem like there's a collaboration. Obviously, we're pretty far from seeing where officers are moving in and detaining people. However, up front here by that caution tape, Yale police put that caution tape up. However, it seems like they are gaining support from New Haven police. There's a few officers here as well that are watching things from over here. And I'm not sure if you guys from zooming in can see the patches on the police officers over there. But from what I'm being told, it is Yale and New Haven police officers that are working together.
And Olivia, you haven't heard any word about classes, in-person classes being canceled of any kind, right?
No, so with that student we just spoke to, Miguel, he said he has no class on Monday, so that's why he's kind of observing what's going on right now. But he said nothing from the university has come out to say that classes are canceled altogether. He said right now that, classes are on as planned if you are scheduled to have classes today. You know, some students, college students don't have classes on Monday, some do, but no word on any cancellations altogether.
Right, because Columbia University, similar scene is playing out obviously with the student encampment. They've had over 100 arrests from over the weekend, and Columbia made the move to cancel their in-person classes. They have students taking, you know, finals and tests virtually today as an option. So what you're saying is it's a little different scene here at Yale.
Yeah, for right now, I mean, we've been in contact trying to get in touch with both Yale police and the university this morning to gather some more information. Like, a big other question on people's mind other than classes is these students that are being detained. Are any of them being arrested? Are there going to be any charges? And, you know, those are still some questions we're really working to get answered for you this morning. It's just a matter of getting that communication back to us.
Yeah, perhaps disturbing the peace. We'll have to see what kind of charges, if any, they are going to be facing this morning. It looks like they're making progress getting through that crowd. Do you have any idea, Olivia, how many protesters have been taken away at this point?
Well, I know we've watched 2 on camera, and throughout the morning, I'm sure there has been some others that we have possibly missed. Everything, though, I will say is quite peaceful. So I would imagine that if things got out of hand here, that would influence police to take a larger number of students away at once. And we're just going to have to wait and see how long they're going to let the students be out here.
Certainly a very large police presence. Every time we see that shot, it seems like more police officers are arriving, trying to get a handle on things.
We've been watching, you know, more police take over that scene. So we will continue to stay with this story, of course. We're going to send it off to break, but Olivia Schuler will be live coming up in just a few minutes.